It's Dire's turn to ban. What's Radiant's
Once,
anyway?
if they can grab 2 wins, it means they figured it out.
They figured it, yeah.
And then the third one will kind of be a doozy. And we've had that actually happen in many tournaments where there's a team coming from the upper bracket that has looked crushing, and a team from lower bracket gets more experience. They figure out stuff that they were behind on, and then they come in super well prepared, and the other team just get taken with their pants down. How many times have we seen that at Majors and TI now? Loser bracket teams have won a lot of lands.
If you remember the old EG as well, and overall, I believe they have played, Nigma has played around 10 more games than RNG in the tournament, so that's a lot.
Yeah, that is definitely a lot of practice, but now it's time to get into the draft and actually figure out whatever.
Snap.
I don't have a choice. You guys can't hear production, but they constantly, throughout the entirety of this tournament, during commercial breaks, yell at me to dance, and they don't stop yelling at me to dance in like a thick Ukrainian accent, just dance, keep dancing, and then snap. But hey, thank you very much for getting us into the draft now. Let's actually start to take a look here and see what is going to be coming out. Anything noticeable so far, Sind?
Lots of trademark bans for both teams, right? You ban the Nature's Prophet against Nigma, and you ban the Lich that Kuro has had, I think has had most success on, hands down in this tournament. So
he controls the Chain Frost.
Yeah.
It goes the way he wants it to.
He even mind controls the enemy where Storm Spirit just doesn't jump away, so it just keeps bouncing, and people die. It's amazing. Yeah, IO will go. Don't think that's a surprise.
Not really surprising.
The biggest surprise to me out of these bans is actually Doom, and I know that's going to sound weird, but I think maybe Nigma had higher priorities than this Doom in this draft.
Very interesting that they ban out the Doom as well, because there's Omni Knight, there's Abaddon as well in the game, and you just let that go through for RNG, and
you've won against Doom multiple times.
And they love those 2 heroes much more than the Doom, so.
It's the first game of best of 5. I'm pretty sure if Nigma were to lose this game, that is the ban that will change.
What do you think can make it happen, right? I think that every point that you guys brought up is something that would be pretty apparent to them as well, right? I think you know Doom well enough. You've won games against Doom. What in particular do you think makes them decide to make that ban?
Maybe they want to go for an Invoker at some point in this game, and Doom has proven to be one of the best heroes versus.
Have RNG ever got the hero, is the question. I think maybe it's just been banned against RNG in every game, and then you go into the series, you're like, this is a 100% ban rate. We've played it against other teams that were not as good with it, but we think RNG are the best. So
maybe they scream, they know something more.
Look, it's Trent. I miss Trent.
Yep.
Didn't think he was here, just thought he was watching, but we're going to see him here in this grand final.
It's Radiant's pick. Dire.
What a surprise.
What? All right. They did play Abaddon support today, I believe, right? We have seen Abaddon as a support being played today, and
Dude, this is a surprise for RNG, I'm sure. I think they're going to pick Rubik. Rubik or Morphling. Monet plays a really good Morphling. We've seen Gambit try that against Omni Knight with mixed success.
Rubik is just amazing.
Rubik's incredible here.
Anything pretty much you steal from Omni Knight is an excellent spell to steal.
All right, so talk to me a little bit more about having those 2 heroes together. What the rest of the draft do you think is going to look like?
Oh, you have 2 incredible saves, so you want one big boy that's going to deal the damage, because these 2 guys kind of won't for the most part. So you need a true hyper carry, and then you need some sort of lockdown. Oh, that's cool too.
Instantly.
First phase OD. So 2 things about this. If you're playing against Omni Abaddon, what these guys do is that they keep heroes afloat, but it's a lot harder to play defensive heroes against sick burst. It's against sustained damage that Omni Knight and Abaddon have the easiest time. Now with this OD going Ags, you even have the possible play of banishing the 2 saves and then going for kills while they're also wherever they are.
Also, they did play this duo. I believe it was RNG that played Treant and OD. Treant gets a Blink Dagger. He goes in first, uses Overgrowth. He forces targets to use all their defensive items, such as BKBs or Mantas. And then they just wait. They have a good team fighting capability just around these 2 heroes. After that, OD jumps in, pops that ulti, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, the pick that RNG would have definitely taken if it were available there was Slark. But we saw that as a first phase ban from Nigma here. You want to play Slark into these 2 heroes. It's kind of, you know, Rich, I know you love the farm animals. You can farm stats on these heroes. That's why both OD and Slark love these matchups.
Yeah, I've been playing with a lot of farm animals recently, but I actually have upgraded my entire setup. I got a new gaming leisure suit, complete with a tail and a whole bunch of fur because it is winter and I like to stay warm. Very, very furry suit. But here, let's actually see what the rest of the lineups are going to look like. We don't have to look into my wardrobe anymore because we will find more than skeletons there. I promise you that much. What are you looking for, though, to round everything out on the side of RNG now that you do have the OD?
I think OD really likes playing with some sort of guaranteed lockdown, just so you have time to get arcane orbs off. Ideally, a secondary save would be nice. We've seen Omni OD, for example, look incredible. Enigma played that yesterday. Yeah, single target stuns are a bit tricky to play against these two hard dispels, though. So maybe they will be looking for something bigger. I'm thinking they could even go crazy and pick a silencer, possibly.
It's a difficult pick to make, though.
I think this is hard.
Silencer plus Treant as supports or Silencer as a core with OD.
Oh, here comes Huskar.
Right. But that's it, right? Huskar with the Omni Knight and Abaddon, you have so many saves, that's it. It had to be.
Yeah, they banned AA, and that's just like, it's extremely telegraphed that Huskar is coming, but you can't adjust to it.
Also, Viper has been banned out by RNG. Not like they would have picked Viper with the OD, but there was a possibility for them to snatch that Huskar as well. You roll the OD mid, have that Huskar safe lane. It was a possibility.
We talked a lot about Io's impressive win rate, but I believe Huskar has a pretty damn good one as well so far in this tournament. It might even be, I think, maybe only dropped one game as well. It was just played less, I think.
Enigma definitely lost with it.
Yeah,
to RNG.
I definitely did see a couple of games in which Huskar has lost, but that hero is ridiculously strong.
For sure. His win rate is positive. And you play him with these saves, and he's really hard to bring down. I think RNG need to... There's two ways of thinking about this draft now. So one is that you get shitloads of damage so that you can break through all of this defensive capability. The other one is that you get kiting. So you force out the spells, you wait it out, like you said, with waiting out the BKBs and then find a way. Love this pick in the Shadow Demon. I think it's a really cool idea.
Another save.
Yep, it's a save. It also has the aggressive potential of the sick burst, right?
And you
Soulcatcher, Soulcatcher, you can't really... I mean, you can work around it, but if the surprise burst comes in, he can die extremely fast. Now, OD and Shadow Demon can save each other. And Demonic Purge is something that, you can't dispel at least. So there's something going for them.
Oh.
And there's the draw.
That's the draw. We actually haven't talked about her at all because Vengeful was banned out, I believe, earlier, right?
Venge was banned.
Usually that's where we see this draw come into play, but now when you have OD and draw, this is looking like a very solid lineup. You also have a lot of control from the Shadow Demon, from the Treant Protector, and if you are Enigma, you have to be thinking about some sort of gap closers now. As your last pick, as your secondary core. It should be something
PL, but you're not getting it, I think.
It has to be something very mobile and something that can get on top of that draw.
Yeah. Heroes that I would love to see Enigma try in this game that they haven't played at all, or at least there's one that comes to mind. They have not played Lycan a single time. I think that's a hero that's slightly forgotten against
Is it
Drow.
Because you just lost?
No, it's because I love it against Drow. I also think it's a really good hero against Shadow Demon. Like, you send all of this army in, and the heroes with saves, you aren't actually saving people. Like, Lycan just keeps his units there, and they...
You do have Overgrowth to kind of control him, right?
Yeah, somewhat, but at the same time, it's kind of not really a counter to Lycan, in my opinion, in the same way that Wyvern isn't, where you pop your ulti, you send in all the summons, and now Treant has to choose, am I going to use my ulti on summons only? And if I don't, Shadow Demon dies, right? The best pick is PL. The reason I'm saying they're not going to get it is that I'm pretty sure RNG will just ban that here.
Versus the Drow Ranger, you almost certainly ban out the PL, and they do.
Enigma have been playing this a lot this tournament, especially against, like, when they feel comfortable that they can go late with Miracle on a win condition. That is one of the heroes that Drow never truly overcomes in late game. I think her matchups have gone a lot better over the last half year. There were many more counters in the past, but PL definitely not on that list anymore.
I love the Centaur as well. Gives you initiation, gives you a hero that will build that utility, but most importantly, gives you that mobility for Drow Ranger and OD to reposition themselves if they get a gap closer. So you can run away, re-engage. Overall, their lineup is very well rounded up.
Yeah. I do think that the key thing about this hero is the flexibility in Stampede in this game. I think there's some games where you pick Stampede and it's 80% of the time you're going to use it offensively. In this game, I feel like it's a 50-50, and that's really useful because if you can force out the defensive cooldowns, like we said 3 or 4 times now, that is the only hero in the game that will reset your entire team, apart from like an Underlord ulti or something crazy that's really hard to use. But this is super simple to use, and you look at Nigma's lineup, they have like no stuns. You're just going to run away.
Oh, we go with the Alchemist.
Okay. Well,
still doesn't solve your catch problem, right? You have Rubik and that's pretty much it. Alchemist at some point can build into that blink stun, but that's very later on in the game if he even goes for that.
I think Alchemist is vulnerable against OD Drow. They hit so hard that he needs a lot of items and he needs a good laning stage, and I don't know if Nigma can give it to him this time.
I have a feeling Nigma are on a timer. There is that 25 perhaps minute mark in which Alchemist and Huskar are going to be really fat, and you have to end the game in that. You have 5 minutes to close the game out. Later on, it's going to be very difficult.
Yep.
All right, so we have pretty much a timer that we are looking at for Nigma. Look for those two to get fat on the Alk and the Huskar. How does RNG win? How do they overcome that moment in the game?
Try to play some tempo early on. And when the enemy team has Huskar and Alchemist, both heroes have a build-up time where they need to farm. If you can take command of the game and get a couple of towers and start, if you own just 60% of the map, I think that's enough. Like, you don't need to take everything. Just get enough control that your strategy gets to get to a point where they can overcome the dangerous 5 minutes.
As long as you're farming as well.
Yeah.
As long as you're getting what you need.
But I feel like you guys really aren't super crazy about this Alchemist pick, is what I'm hearing from you guys so far.
I think it can be great. That's the thing. I totally see the idea, and I believe there's a good chance it wins. PL obviously was the best, but it's gone, right? So you need to think outside of the box. I don't really have a favorite in this game. I think this is one of the closest drafts for me just because there's totally different win conditions, and I don't feel like for once in RNG's games that they have drafted something that trashes the opponents early on.
Overall, I would maybe lean towards RNG just a little bit because of their performances, not truly because of the draft.
Okay. All right, well, we've heard it from our analysts. Performance is going to be the main thing that's going to be deciding it on the side of Lizard. Sind talking about the draft quite a bit, but I want to hear from our casters. Let's get this grand final started.
So it's the greatest question. Which team is able to perform during a grand final? It seems like Nigma have this very short window to hit that sweet spot.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of little power spikes for both teams. Drow and OD pretty passive for the first 9 or 10 minutes, but then they want to use that first item to start being active. Usually for OD, it's part of the Ags. For Drow, it's maybe just like a Dragon Lance, maybe something like a Yasha. Even then, she still wants to fight in the mid game. And then Alchemist gets that Radiance around 13, 14 minutes, and he doesn't want to fight until about the BKB that he gets after that. So they have that window to punish the Alchemist timing to make it so that Nigma doesn't hit theirs.
See, I'm also wondering, like, on the multiple fronts you try and punish the Alchemist. You're like, you know, you get a Pyke, OD can get involved in things, but what are the objectives they take? Can they stop Nigma from controlling their jungle? Can they stop the Alchemist from potentially having a large amount of stacks? Knowing that Weeha will also have this nice little power spike around that time where he's able to fight, potentially being enabled by his supports.
Yeah, last series we saw Nigma with the PL, that hero just couldn't fight for the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, and he still managed to participate on Miracle, and his hero scaled well into the late game. And even though I wouldn't say Alchemist is the be-all end-all late game this game, there is going to be a time in the game where he is the strongest hero, and Nigma's done a really good job in games where I doubted them to be able to get to that point where they are strongest team, and then they make use of that timing. I think Drow is usually punished by the same thing as Alk, where you kind of bully her, you run at her a lot, and I don't think they can really do that. So I think it really frees up RNG to run at the Alchemist, and I am concerned a bit that you're giving Drow pretty much a free first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. And I think RNG has been really good at establishing that lead and then maintaining it. So I'm kind of with Lizard on the fact that because of the performance RNG's had and the way Nigma's clearly wanting to play this kind of stall you out until we hit our timing, I am favoring them this game, but by no means am I doubting Enigma after what they've done so far with the comebacks in the lower bracket.
I almost feel like we need to have like a large clock on the screen that you just ready to say, like, this is the 5-minute window the Lizard gave us. We start the clock now. How much damage can Nigma do to then, like, basically put this game into their bag. But RNG, I love seeing these combinations as well. The SD as well as the Centaur. Very simple to initiate with. Maybe two very difficult targets to initiate onto, however. And we have versus Setsu, the OD. We are having to play against the hero which he was able to dominate with before. GH, well, this is just three things.
Yeah, standard stuff going on here.
Yeah,
he might
one
even
more
just go
punch.
down. He has probably has the Nature's Grasp in a few seconds here, but Nigma, I think they're just going to be concerned about the fact that this Shadow Demon and OD are two of the best ways to deal with Abaddon and Omni, where you just remove heroes from the game and then you focus the other ones. And Abaddon and OD rely on everyone on their team participating in the fight. And I like that that's been RNG's approach to this first round Abaddon Omni night. Two heroes we've seen pretty much be sought after by every team after the group stage when RNG proved that they could just basically run over everybody with these hard dispels. Yeah,
it's actually almost looking for, like, what was it? GH was saying during the interview, like just a meta of their own, right? Like that's what they wanted. But so far, this still feels like it's all been influenced by what's come before.
It is kind of cool throughout the course of this tournament that at the beginning we saw a lot of stomps and it didn't feel like teams were able to figure out how to make their idea of the meta work. And then as they were losing, they kind of figured out, Team Nigma, one of the perfect examples, they were able to figure out, okay, this is our team, like this is the way we want to play's weakness. Let's make sure we avoid just getting ran over at X stage of the game. And it's made a lot of these games a lot more comebacks so far throughout the course of the tournament. A lot of teams we've been seeing up by 5,000 to 10,000 gold, sometime around like the 20-minute mark even, and they lose. So it's kind of interesting that this patch, a lot of people were complaining that you kind of knew who was going to win at 10 minutes, and that's just really not been the case so far in the playoffs.
Yeah. Which we're very, very happy for.
Yeah, not boring.
It's the worst type of Dota when you already know the result. The win on draft is the phrase of thing we all wanted to stop using just because we hated what it meant.
It's like you got to be honest with yourself, but at the same time, like you said, it's just not a fun thing to talk about. And just some decent harass coming out in the bottom lane. Both teams, I would say Nigma has no play potential, and then they have so much defense that it makes RNG's play potential in the early stage pretty weak as well. So we should be seeing a pretty passive laning phase.
Yeah. It's just pull points as anyone who potentially just gets out of position. So I wouldn't want to be the cameraman at this point because you will be seeing a lot of heroes running low on life. Well, one quick combination can make it work. On bottom lane, like Miracle shouldn't go down unless Kuro's just not there. Because even if the Horse Storm does come in, you're just going to shield him straight back in and Miracle's back to fighting or walking away. Oh, we are. Actually, there you go. Setsu, he's burning pretty hard, the banishment. It's low damage. Close. Is it enough with the burn? 2 hours, 11, 6 HP.
Calculated. Wow, that was ballsy not to salve there.
Now Mind Control, he'll be the first blood up on top lane. September and Monet combining their together to make it very difficult for these melee heroes to